Welcome back to Rabbit Hole Remains. Last time, the Phoenix Lights hung silently above the world, watched by thousands yet never explained. A warning written in light across the sky. But what if the lights are only the beginning? What if something far older, far colder decides the sky is no longer enough? Tonight we fall into the abyss that birthed the modern abduction myth, the night Betty and Barney Hill vanished from their own lives. An ordinary drive, a sudden shadow in the stars, and then nothing. Nothing they could remember, yet something remembered them. Betty, a social worker dedicated to justice. Barney, a postal worker, veteran, and civil rights fighter, an interracial couple in a world that often looked at them sideways.
As I was watching, this sky seemed to be getting larger and brighter.
They were no strangers to scrutiny, but nothing prepared them for what lurked above. If your pulse quickens at the thought of being taken, truly taken, stay with me. The rabbit hole is open, and it hungers. Betty and Barney Hill, civil rights activists from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, were returning from a quiet escape to Niagara Falls and Montreal. The White Mountains stretched dark and endless around them, a labyrinth of shadowed peaks and twisting roads. The night was clear, too clear. Stars pierced the black like needles. A single point of light appeared in the sky. Betty watched it fall, then rise. Faster, brighter, wrong. It darted below the moon, then west of it, defying gravity, defying sense.
Stopped in midair directly in front of us. The car motor stalled, and at that point, I realized that they undoubtedly planned to take us on board.
She urged Barney to stop at a lonely picnic area. Binoculars in hand, their dog, Delcy, whining softly at their feet, they stared upward. Through the lenses, a craft unlike anything of this world, pancake-shaped, silent, flashing colors that pulsed like a heartbeat, red, amber, green, blue, swirling in patterns that seemed almost alive. Barney lifted the binoculars next. He saw them, figures behind curved windows, shiny black uniforms, moving with purpose, watching, waiting. Their forms were humanoid, but not human, short, bald, eyes oversized, wrapping around heads like dark mirrors. Something inside him broke, a primal fear uncoiling. They fled back to the car. Tires screamed against the asphalt, but the thing in the sky did not let them go. It followed, dipping behind tree lines, vanishing into darkness, only to re-emerge closer, brighter, more insistent. With every mile, the air grew thicker, the silence heavier. What was it? A satellite gone rogue? A military test? Or something that had been waiting, watching, for just the right moment? The craft descended, low enough to blot out the stars, perhaps no more than 100 feet away. Barney stopped again, pistol in hand, heart hammering like a trapped animal. He stepped forward, binoculars pressed to his eyes. There they were, 8 to 11 beings, staring back, uniforms gleaming under internal lights. One, perhaps the leader, seemed to fix on him directly, and something invaded his mind. A voice without sound. Stay where you are and keep looking. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a command. Cold. Inescapable. Terror clawed up his throat, raw and unrelenting. He screamed to Betty, "They're going to capture us." They ran. Beeping, strange, metallic beeping erupted from the trunk, rhythmic and alien. A vibration rippled through metal, through bone, through every nerve. Drowsiness came like black water rising. Slow at first, then overwhelming. Then, silence. Oblivion. When awareness returned, they were driving again. But the road was wrong. The distance was wrong. 35 miles farther than memory allowed. Time itself had slipped away like smoke. Hours stolen, erased. They reached home hollow-eyed, clothes torn, watches frozen forever, needles stuck, refusing to move. Betty's dress ripped at the seams, stained with an odd pinkish powder that clung like evidence from another realm. Shoes scuffed as if dragged across rough terrain. On the car trunk, perfect concentric circles, shining unnaturally. When a compass neared them, the needle spun wildly, defying north, as if the vehicle itself had been marked by an otherworldly force. What had happened in that void? The body remembered what the mind could not. Aches, unease, a lingering violation. The anxiety lingered like a fog, nightmares that clawed at sleep, unexplained health woes, a gnawing sense that something massive had been ripped away. Betty dreamed repeatedly of small figures leading her into blinding light, their touch cold and insistent. Desperate for answers, they sought a Boston psychiatrist skilled in the shadowed art of hypnosis, Dr. Benjamin Simon, a man versed in unlocking buried traumas. Separate rooms, separate minds, no chance for collusion. Yet the memories that emerged were identical, vivid, consistent, horrifying. A roadblock materialized from nowhere, beings stepping into the headlights, short, about 5 feet, gray-skinned like weathered stone, eyes vast and lightless, wrapping halfway around bald, pear-shaped heads, noses mere slits, mouths thin lines barely moving, uniforms glossy black, almost military. No words escaped their lips, only thought pressing against thought, telepathic commands that bypassed ears burrowing straight into the brain. The Hills were guided, weightless, paralyzed, up a ramp into cold metal. The craft, a metallic disc as wide as a house, interior corridors curved and seamless, glowing with a sourceless, sterile light. The beings separated them as if to divide and conquer the human psyche. Barney recalled pure terror, his clothes stripped away by gloved hands, efficient and emotionless. Skin scraped for samples, hair clipped, nails trimmed, ears, eyes, mouth inspected with glowing instruments. Then, a cupped device placed over his groin, suction probing, extracting what felt like vital essence. He wept under hypnosis, voice breaking. "Oh God, I'm scared. They're going to capture us."
Shoot it down, and I run out across the road, and there it is, up there.
Betty's ordeal cut deeper, more intimate. Laid on a table, clothes removed, skin, hair, nails sampled like Barney's. But then, a long, thin needle thrust into her navel, twisting, searching. Pain exploded, white-hot, violating. She screamed into the void, begging for mercy. The leader touched her forehead. The agony eased. He explained telepathically, a test. For pregnancy? For something more arcane? The beings were clinical, detached, merciless, like scientists observing insects under glass. One, the examiner, seemed almost curious, lesser in rank. The leader, taller, more commanding, with a presence that demanded obedience. Alone with him, Betty dared ask, "Where are you from?" He raised a hand. Before her floated a holographic star map, dots of light connected by glowing lines, some solid, traveled routes, trade paths, some dashed, expeditions into the unknown. She studied it, committing it to memory. Under hypnosis, she drew it again and again, as though the map had burned itself into her soul. A cosmic breadcrumb trail. The beings promised no harm, then released them, memories veiled but not erased. The evidence mounted, whispering of truth in the shadows. Independent hypnosis accounts aligned in stunning detail. No discrepancies, no inventions. Physical traces. Betty's dress, tested later, bore unknown pink powder, organic, magnetic, defying earthly analysis. The car, magnetic anomalies in those concentric circles, pulling compasses into chaos. Watches, stopped dead, mechanisms fused as if by intense energy. No fame sought, no fortune chased. They shunned publicity at first, confiding only in trusted circles, until the weight became unbearable. The star map? A teacher and amateur astronomer, Marjorie Fish, built a three-dimensional model of nearby stars from astronomical catalogs. One pattern aligned perfectly, Zeta Reticuli. A binary system, two suns orbiting each other, details hidden from public view at the time, stars not fully mapped in popular sources. How could Betty know? Coincidence? Subconscious astronomy? Or a message left behind by something that knew we would one day look up and wonder? The theories claw at the edges of reason, each darker than the last. Genuine extraterrestrial visitors, scouts from Zeta Reticuli, studying humanity like specimens in a galactic zoo. Their exams probing biology, reproduction, secrets of our species. Interdimensional entities slipping through cracks in reality. Beings not bound by space but by thought, manifesting in forms our minds can barely grasp. Psychological fractures, sleep paralysis amplified by hypnosis, false memories born from stress. The Hills' civil rights work exposed them to real-world threats, harassment, isolation. Did societal pressures warp a mundane event, a bright planet, a wrong turn, into cosmic horror? Or something older, something spiritual, demonic forces cloaked in gray skin and black eyes, telepathy mimicking divine whispers, exams echoing ancient rituals of judgment. Some whisper cultural metaphors, an interracial couple, symbols of progress confronted by otherness from above, mirroring the earthly divisions they fought. In the shadow of today's UAP revelations, government admissions, whistleblowers, footage of impossible crafts, this case no longer feels like history. It feels like prophecy. A blueprint for every abduction since. Grays, missing time, invasive probes. Were the Hills the first? Or just the first to remember and speak? Their story escaped into the world through a book that shook belief, The Interrupted Journey, and a film that made the Greys immortal. The UFO Incident. Barney left this world years ago, felled by a stroke amid lingering stress. Betty followed long after, steadfast in her truth until the end. Yet the echo remains, rippling through pop culture, inspiring archetypes of aliens as cold, probing invaders. From Phoenix Lights, silent watchers in the sky, to the Hills, taken, touched, marked forever. The question burns brighter, colder. Are we alone, or are we being watched, collected, cataloged? What do you feel, Rabbit Hole crew? A cold hand on your shoulder in the dark, a memory that doesn't belong to you, a map of stars unfolding in your dreams. Speak in the comments. Share the stories you've never told anyone. Every word you leave here feeds the whole. If this descent chilled your blood, smash like. Subscribe to Rabbit Hole Remains. Turn on notifications, because the next shadow might be closer than you think. Up next, perhaps that UFO sighting from earlier this year, the one that still makes the room feel too small. Until then, stay curious, stay awake, and never stop watching the sky. See you down the next hole.